out yesterday. This is don't be careful, please. Don't get into an accident. Danksing. We got true danksters in the building. So this technology surveillance stuff, if you haven't seen my video from yesterday, that's fine. I encourage you to watch it, but we're going to talk more into depth. Like I think it was last week I did, or the week before, about the Promis software, the hacking, the backdoor, selling to foreign governments, the access. And so I think it's important that we learn a little bit about the history of that and how this works. So make sure that you are subscribed, and we'll get right into the Dankster debrief. I got my I'm just now having coffee today. I'm changing up my schedule a little bit, doing jujitsu in the morning, so that way I can get the ball rolling early, and it feels good, man. It feels good. If you're not doing some physical activity, I highly encourage anybody out there to do it. But let's go ahead and get into this. So on the morning of August 10th, and this is in 1991, and if you're new here, we do the super chats usually after I do the debrief, and stuff like that. So that way we can just kind of keep it moving. So make sure you stick around. Don't think that because I haven't read your super chat and it disappears, I have access to all of them. I see them all. So I will acknowledge all of those, and I appreciate anybody. If there are any, I appreciate it. So on the morning of August 10th in 91, a housekeeper at the Sheraton Inn in Martinsburg, West Virginia, opened the door to room 517 and found a freelance journalist named Danny Casolaro lying in a bathtub full of blood, and his wrists had been slashed multiple times, 12 times to be precise. Deep, deliberate cuts that severed tendons. I don't know if you've ever had cut your hand. I had a deep cut back here. If I have it's pretty brutal when you get these kinds of cuts that cut the tendon. It's deliberate unless it's a big mistake. It's not easy to cut your tendon. All right. It's very painful, and it forever will leave it. Whatever, I'm rambling, but that happened. All right. So deep, deliberate cuts to the tendons. His briefcase was gone. His notes were gone. And his tape recorder was gone. The local medical examiner ruled it a you-know-what, like they always do, within several hours. So he did it to himself. Now, before his family could really be notified, before the scene was even fully processed, and before anyone thought to ask why a man who had told his friends just days earlier that he was about to crack the biggest story of his entire life and maybe many other lifetimes would check into a West Virginia hotel and end all of it. Why would that be? Someone who's going to crack open this massive story, all right, just ends it all right before he's going to release this information. Danny Casolaro had been investigating something he called the octopus, which is a vast, I was talking with Bays earlier. If you don't know Real Bays, go follow him on YouTube. He's doing great work. I was talking to him today, and he mentioned the octopus, and it kind of brought this into my mind about weaving this into the story today, the debrief, because it was a vast interconnected web a web of government corruption, intelligence operations, arms trafficking, drug running, and a stolen technology that he really believed connected dozens of seemingly unrelated, if you look at them independently, really unrelated scandals stretching from the Reagan White House to the back rooms of foreign intelligence services on every continent. And at the center of, and that's why it's called octopus, right? At the center of this octopus was a piece of software, and its name was Promis, without an E, Promis, no E. And the story of what happened to it, who stole it, who weaponized it, who profited from it, and who died of it is not just a chapter from Cold War history. And you don't hear much of this stuff unless maybe you find some History Channel news show or whatever. It was really the operating manual for everything that you're about to learn that is actually happening to Americans today in 2026. So this is going to be your Dankster debrief, and we're going deep. So the Hamiltons in the late 70s, 1970s, A husband and a wife team, you could say. Bill and Nancy Hamilton were doing something genuinely noble. They were building software for the United States government through a small company called the Institute for Law and Social Research. The project was funded by the Department of Justice's Law Enforcement Assistance Administration, and they built a software called Promis, Prosecutors Management Information System. All right. We've talked about this once before. We're going deeper into this Promis software, and it really ties into what's happening today. On the surface, Promis was elegantly simple. It was a case management database that allowed prosecutors to track defendants, cases, evidence, witnesses, court dates, and outcomes across multiple jurisdictions simultaneously. Before Promis, you have to understand, if you wanted to know whether a suspect arrested in LA, Los Angeles, had perhaps an outstanding warrant, say in Miami, you had to pick up the phone, and you'd have to call Miami PD or investigators unit or whatever it might be. Then you'd have to wait, most likely wait for a call back, then hope someone checked and hope they hit you back. Well, Promis was the software that changed all of that. It could query multiple databases at the same time, pull information from different systems that had never been designed to talk to each other. And it assembled a comprehensive profile of any target subject in seconds. Maybe, I don't know the exact amount of time, but imagine going from nothing to having something like that. In the early 80s, this is absolutely revolutionary. It was the kind of software that made intelligence professionals really sit up straight and pay very, very close attention to what was being, produced out of this. When the Reagan administration killed the Law Enforcement Assistance Administration, which was in 1980, the Hamiltons ended up ultimately privatizing this product, and then they formed the INSLAW Incorporation. They took the basic Promis code and they built on top of it. They added proprietary enhancements, new modules, new capabilities. The enhanced version was privately owned intellectual property, and it was their intellectual property. All right. In 1982, INSLAW signed a $9.9 million contract with the DOJ, the Department of Justice of the United States, to install Promis in 94 United States attorney offices across the entire country. It was a massive contract for a very small company, family of, or a husband and wife, Bill and Nancy Hamilton. They really thought they had made it. And you could imagine, you're building this software. I'm a coder, I'm a developer. I could imagine only how amazing that would be to have 94 U.S. Attorney General offices or U.S. Attorney's offices picking up our software and using this for, federal purposes, state by state. But they had no idea what they actually built because they didn't know who was watching. So in 1983, a man walked into INSLAW's offices in Washington requesting a demonstration of Promis. He introduced himself as Dr. Ben Orr, identifying himself as an assistant prosecutor for the Boston Ministry of Justice. And Bill Hamilton gave him the full tour, showed him the software, demonstrated all of its capabilities. And Dr. Ben Orr was not an assistant prosecutor. Remember, this is private software. Now they're starting to get involved, the DOJ. His real name ended up being that Dr. Ben Orr that came in, not an assistant prosecutor, not involved at all to their knowledge on this type of working scale. And this person's name was not actually Ben Orr. It was Rafi Eitan, E-I-T-A-N, Rafi, R-A-F-I, Rafi Eitan, if you want to get. So he was the head of the LAKAM, Boston's Bureau of Scientific Relations. Boston Bureau of Scientific Relations, a covert intelligence unit responsible for acquiring and technological intelligence really, and then also scientific, right? So I'll put a note down here for those that are new. I think I have one, so you can know what I'm talking about. I mean, you'll be able to pick it out anyways, but just in case, we'll just put this up here. Create, save, and I'll just scroll this down. So this Boston Bureau of Scientific Relations, they were really in charge of gathering covert intelligence, scientific and technological intel. That was their main. Okay, that was what they did. So this was the same Rafi Eitan who had run, you might have heard of Jonathan Pollard, the American naval intelligence analyst who would be ultimately arrested 2 years later for spying for Boston. And this became one of the most damaging espionage cases in the history of modern America. After his visit to INSLAW, Eitan went directly to the DOJ through a combination of what a federal bankruptcy judge would later describe trickery, fraud, deceit, and the government acquired a copy of this enhanced Promis software. But Eitan did not want Promis for its management capabilities. He wanted it for something much more ambitious. He wanted to turn it into a surveillance weapon. Okay, this was really the entire purpose of Eitan getting involved, Dr. Ben Orr getting involved, whatever you want to call him. And this is where a story takes, I mean, this story really takes a turn that a lot of Americans never have heard of, and the turn that ultimately connects directly to your churches in the United States today. And it's more than just churches. I mentioned in the video yesterday, churches, but there are more than that. There's a lot to cover in this story, and it's going to go on for quite some time. But we are diving into the deeper end of the pool here with intelligence, surveillance, religion, or at least any type of way to use something that people care about. That way they can use that as their methodology of creating a surveillance state. Yeah, I mean, it's happening primarily in churches, but there's other organizations that are being taken advantage of. So Eitan needed someone that could modify Promis at the code level. He needed a coder, someone who could insert a hidden backdoor into this software so that anyone who installed Promis on their computer systems would be unknowingly transmitting their data back to whoever controlled the backdoor. And the man who built this backdoor was Michael Riconosciuto. Riconosciuto was, by all accounts, a legitimate technical genius. He had built an argon laser at age 16. He had patents of all types. He had connections to intelligence community figures stretching back many years. And the work was done at a facility on the Cabazon Indian Reservation near Indio, California. And the reservation, what's interesting is Cabazon is a place that I play poker at. There's a casino there called Morongo, and I play poker there. It's been a while since I've been there. It's like 40 minutes from here. But yeah, this whole area is Cabazon Indian Reservation, Joshua Tree. So it was built on this Indian reservation not far from me. This happened to be the reservation was a joint venture with Wackenhut Corporation, a Florida-based security company founded by former FBI and CIA executives, because the reservation was sovereign tribal land. Activities really couldn't be conducted there. And if they did, they really existed in a legal gray zone because of this Indian property, largely beyond the jurisdiction of local and state law enforcement. I've met many people just from living locally here in various places, talking to Indians that have they have a different lifestyle. They have a different life. The way that their money is brought in, a lot of them have a different way of making money. They don't have to pay taxes. You know, I met this one kid somewhere. This was probably over a decade ago. He was in trouble with the law. Essentially, this is kind of a side note, just to give you an idea. But because of the Indian reservation and how much money their casino was bringing in, and then whatever rights he had as an Indian, he was entitled to like 100, like one, it was either 180 grand or 1.8 million. 1.8 million wouldn't be out of the picture. Just with this particular kid, I remember he was, but yeah, so no taxes, stuff like that. So they have a whole different law around Indian tribal land. If you don't know about it, I encourage you to look up the history of Indian land in general and how it operates today, because it still has many of its same features. But anyways, um, because of this, they're modifying Promis on this land. The Cabazon Wackenhut facility was allegedly manufacturing weapons. They had night vision goggles, biological and chemical agents. Some of this material was reportedly destined for the Contras, the Iran-Contra, Nicaragua, as part of the same covert operation network that would later be exposed as Iran-Contra. Now, the vice chairman of the Cabazon tribe, Cabazon, Cabazon, Cabazon. Two associates who opposed the joint venture were ultimately execution-style murdered. Despite eyewitness testimony, no one was convicted for decades. And Riconosciuto, I have a hard time pronouncing some of these Italian words or whatever they are. Greek, I have no idea. I think it's Riconosciuto, Italian, successfully inserted the back door. So this is that genius we were just mentioning briefly before. He was successfully able to breach the back door into Promis. And then in March of 1991, he signed an affidavit supporting INSLAW's lawsuit against the Department of Justice, describing exactly what he had done to the Promis software, who had ordered it, and where it happened. So he was hired by this Rafi Eitan and then made the back door and was compelled in 91, signing an affidavit supporting INSLAW's lawsuit against the Department of Justice, describing exactly what he had done to this software, who had ordered it, again, like I said, and what will happen when this is used and where it all happened. 8 days later, DEA agents raided his property and arrested him on methamphetamine manufacturing charges. And then the DEA, remember, they're part of the Department of Justice. So Riconosciuto was convicted and spent over 30 years in federal prison. He has maintained from the beginning of this entire scenario that the charges were completely fabricated just to silence him. Imagine that. And let's think about Tyler Robinson, okay? This has been happening for decades, a long time. Fabricating evidence, putting people in prison forever. They do not care about anybody except for doing their mission. You need to understand that. This is how the world works. It's not just us. It's not just the government. It's all of the elites, okay? All of the elites. Now, this is where somebody important comes into the picture with this back door, because think about it like this. Why would they have to silence this dude, bring him and lock him up, put him away and throw away the key? Because he knows the biggest secret of all time with this software. He knows everything. So they can't have him out here running amok, knowing the history of who hacked what and all of this stuff. You know, they got to keep his mouth shut, which they successfully did. Now, with backdoor of Promis compromised, or at least in hand, the next challenge was this distribution. How do you sell bugged software intelligence agencies and governments ultimately around the world without anyone realizing what you're actually doing? That man was Robert Maxwell. The history of this, the files and Maxwell, and it goes deep. They've been doing these ploys and these trickeries and these plays on citizens of all over the world for a long time. Okay. And that's why it's important to understand, like, hopefully through this channel and me showing you what's happening today and what has happened and how it all comes back together full circle. You learn a little bit about history. You learn how this stuff has not really changed. The playbook is the same. Maybe the technology has changed, but the playbook is the same. Okay. Anyways, This person, Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, we've heard about him before. Born in Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoch in 1923. Let me pause this over there. And Maxwell had transformed himself into a British media baron, a decorated World War II hero, and a member of parliament, an investigative journalist, and a longtime asset of Boston intelligence. He was also, according to many intelligence sources, really, and former Mossad officers, Mossad. I don't know if saying it that way is better. And also, like, I hate even censoring myself. I think that's kind of part of the problem here. But we'll play the game for a bit and see what happens. So these former officers, investigative journalists, longtime asset of Boston intelligence, they all said he was also like this intelligence person, right? So they are all saying, yeah, this dude, Robert Maxwell, is an intelligence officer for Boston. Now, through his publishing connections, his political relationships, and when I say publishing connections, I mean he he at least had the publishing rights of what went in and out of these textbooks that we all grew up on here in the United States, and I'm sure all over the world. So he had political connections, he had publishing connections. His sheer force of this brash, brute personality, Maxwell sold the backdoor Promis software to intelligence agencies and government institutions around the world: Britain, Australia, South Korea, Canada, Guatemala, Colombia, Nicaragua, Bulgaria. Think about, all of these countries. You've got Egypt. What else? East Germany, Poland, Belgium, Turkey, Thailand, New Zealand, China, South Africa, Chile, Argentina, Iraq, Libya, the Soviets. Every single one of these countries had this installation and was secretly reporting back to their intelligence, Boston's intelligence service, through this hidden back door. Can you imagine the power that this gives to this little country? This hidden back door, man, that is so crazy to think about. With the help of former U.S. Senator John Tower, Maxwell allegedly sold the Boston backdoored version of Promis to Sandia National Laboratories and Los Alamos National Laboratory, two of the most important nuclear research and national security facilities in the United States. By 1989, over $500 million worth of Promis programs had been sold worldwide. Now, Robert Maxwell died in November of 1991. His body was found floating in the Atlantic Ocean near the Canary Islands, apparently having fallen from his luxury yacht. Many of you maybe have heard this story. Urinating off the side of his boat, ends up dead. The yacht was named Lady Ghislaine after his youngest daughter, who ultimately grew up to be a PDF file. I just think about like my daughter growing up. It's like, how could you? That is just, and these people, man. And that's a whole nother can of worms, and it really, really gets to me what's happening in the government right now. We're not going to go there, but not today at least. But man, imagine like that connection, one away to the Eggstein operation. Very obvious to me that it is a operation. They've been doing this for decades. So for anybody in the United States government, in any intelligence service, to deny that Eggstein was not doing any of this crap with a intelligence persona is full of it. They all know, and they're all in on it. They all know. Look at Pam Bondi, dude. She's a mess. She can't even lie with a straight face. She's like, ay. Anyways, what was known about what Maxwell had done with his business empire, it was starting to collapse at that time when he died. He was drowning in debt, and according to multiple sources, he had begun threatening his handlers, and Maxwell was buried. Now, when I said earlier, is he working? He would, from what we understand or what I've been able to see, is that not a direct intelligence worker, more of an asset. They're two different things. An asset could be somebody that assists in multiple different ways for an intelligence system, but not hired and working for the government on a day-to-day basis. I don't think that's how Maxwell lived his life. But ultimately, he was buried on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. His funeral was attended by Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir, President James Herzog, and at least 6 serving former heads of Boston intelligence. And it was, by many accounts, a state funeral in all but the name, which is like that whole story. Robert Maxwell himself could have an entire, I mean, there could be a whole thing there. His daughter, Ghislaine, would go on to become the most famous socialite in some of the most Western countries in the world, really, for an entirely different reason, which many of you know. And the conventional telling of the Promis story really ends somewhere in the mid-1990s, but the capabilities that Promis represented did not fade. They really evolved, all right? We're looking at a much more advanced Promis software these days with various, all kinds of ends to them and beginnings. And think about what Promis could do in 1982, querying multiple databases at the same time, integrating information from incompatible systems, building comprehensive profiles on targets and subjects just by pulling data from dozens of sources at once. And now ask yourself, what happened to those capabilities over the next 40 years? In the 90s, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, it was the, DARPA, as we would know, they began developing the Total Information Awareness Program, later named or renamed the Terrorism Information Awareness. And its architect was Admiral John Poindexter, who had been convicted for his role in the Iran-Contra scenario and the same scandal that intersected with the Promis affair at the Cabazon Reservation. Barry Cumnick, who had worked alongside Riconoscioto. Am I saying Riconoscioto? That's such a strange word. Strange last name, but that is what it is. This Riconoscioto was at the Cabazon Reservation. They imprisoned him, all this stuff, and had developed, now we're looking at an artificial intelligence component for Promis, and it was called Brainstorm, and it was designed to predict individual thinking and behavior based on data patterns, data sets. And that early on worked and was widely cited as a precursor to what is known as TIA. And when TIA was ostensibly shut down after public outrage in 2003, its component programs were quietly distributed to other agencies under various different names. And the surveillance capabilities, they have not disappeared. They were dispersed at that time. Then in 2013, Edward Snowden exposed Promis. The name was almost too perfect. Prism, Promis. The through line was not just symbolic, it was architectural. The same fundamental concept embeds collections capabilities inside systems. Harvest data without the users ever knowing. The next evolution would target where you went, who you were with, what you believed, how you could be manipulated, and it would target your church. And why churches? There are approximately, this is an America is a predominantly Christian country. There are approximately 400,000 churches across the country. They represent the single largest network of regularly gathering citizens in the country. On any given Sunday, you have to think about it like this, because then it makes sense. Why churches? Why churches as a primary target? Think about 400,000 churches, 380, between 350 and 400,000 churches. On any given Sunday, on every Sunday, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of Americans congregate in American churches voluntarily in known locations at predictable times in tight physical proximity with each other, carrying devices that broadcast their identities to anyone. It broadcasts everything with listening technology, camera technology now, GPS capabilities. Churches are trusted institutions and pastors are trusted voices. When a pastor speaks from the pulpit, the congregation listens. They're there undisturbed with a level of openness and receptivity that is unparalleled to any politician, no news anchor, no social media influencer that could match. If you could map every churchgoer in the country, build a psychological profile on every single one, identify their fears, their triggers, and then feed manipulated content back through the trusted channels that they rely on, you would have the most powerful influence machine ever constructed. That is not hypothetical. That is what are in the FARA filings that I've showed you that are on a public website, free for you to go take a look right now. Not just the FARA website, but organized in a fashion that somebody needed to do for quite some time. And I did it. It's not perfect yet. There are things that aren't working perfectly, but there's a system there and it brings everything together. It's americansfortransparency.org if you haven't heard about it, or AFNPT, Americans for Nonprofit Transparency. But the filings on September 18th, 2025, this is where we tie in what I believe to be Turning Point USA's hand in this, contributing over almost $1 million to this research. I have no idea. I'd love to see what that research divulged. But anyways, Clock Tower X LLC is filed under the FARA registration number 7649. 7649. You can go and look it up on FARA's website. The owner is named Bradley Parscale, former campaign manager for Donald Trump, worked as an associate with Charlie Kirk for around a decade. And the foreign principal of this Clock Tower X LLC, the same person that worked with Charlie Kirk, that helped run campaigns for manager, he was a manager of campaigns for Donald Trump. The foreign principal is the state of Boston, the state of Israel, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Okay. Contracted $6 million in the beginning, and I think also either waiting on or gathered another 3. And the purpose is AI-driven content designed to shape what large language models return when queried. So when you send a message to ChatGPT, before you get infected with this, what's called GEO, generative optimization, it would give you one thing. But afterwards, it would give you whatever the bias wants you to see and read. So it might not be completely fabricated information, or maybe it is from a website that they're creating all this GEO material, but then they can somehow work. And I'll show some clips that I've showed before that Harrison, again, recently put out on X. James Lee has shown it as well. When I show this to you, it's going to make complete sense now, all right? Understanding what they were talking about then and how we should have taken them seriously, but I am at least trying to bring it all, the whole piece together. Now, the purpose, they all have different purposes, these companies. For example, Clock Tower X LLC does AI, SEO manipulation through these GEO, generative large language model optimization. One would be in charge of hiring influencers to take $7,000 for this, and another one would be in charge of doing this. So they all have their different things on the website, which I'll show you in a minute. Explains all of this. All right, it explains what their main thing is. I think I put it in there like that. It should show if I go down real quick. I'm just going to take a look here. Yeah, like orthodox community advocacy and support per FARA filing, network analysis. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot more work I want to do on the site, which I will be doing soon. But on September 26th, 2025, Bridges Partners LLC filed FARA registration number 7652, which is another foreign principal state of you know who, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, contract 900 and I think it was just like close to either 900 flat, 900,000 flat, $900,000 flat. And the purpose is what was called is called the Esther Project, paying 14 to 18 influencers up to $7,000 per post. So that's the Esther Project. And Bridges Partners LLC is the corporation or the LLC that's responsible of finding these influencers and paying them to do this. On September 27th, 2025, this is all systematic. Show faith by work. So you got, what was it, the 18th? You got Clock Tower LLC filing for the AI. So they got to make sure the AI manipulation, they've already built it. It's all in place. They just need to create a United States company, file with FARA. So they're doing everything legally. And then they get their system operating inside of the LLMs. And then after that, they're like, all right, guys, green light, bring on Bridges. 26th, you've got Bridges already looking for influencers to pay and da 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 da. Then on September 27th, you've got Show Faith by Works filing their registration the very next day. Registration number 7653. Owner is Chad Schnitzker. You've heard of him before, I'm sure, if you're watching this. Foreign principal, same state as the others, same country as the others. Boston, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, contracted for almost $4.1 million for the purpose of the largest Christian church geofencing campaign in U.S. history. 303 megachurches named as targets. Straight up. It's in their paperwork. You can go look at it today. All three companies were funded through the Havas Media Group. All three were registered within 9 days of each other. All three serve the same foreign principle. Same purpose, ultimately. Now, how does geofencing work? And we'll watch, I'll show you a couple things, some code that I've written to show examples, things that you might have seen in the video from yesterday. But really, a geofence is an invisible digital. I need some water. Hold on. I'm dying over here. We're going to talk about geofencing. Put in a 1 in the chat if you're enjoying this. All right, let's get into it. Let's keep going. A geofence is an invisible digital boundary around any particular physical location. When your phone crosses that boundary, it triggers a data capture event. Okay, your phone does not need to have any particular app installed. It simply needs to have its location services, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi scanning embedded. 1 second. All right. So again, location services is probably the big one. See all the ones in the chat. I love it. I love it. Keep it coming. So location services, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. All right. Those are the big three. The moment you cross this geofence perimeter, they capture this particular data that can be captured. Your GPS coordinates, a timestamp of the time that you crossed the invisible boundary, your device's unique advertising identifier, because all phones have an advertising identifier, a device ID identifier for advertising, which is unique to each phone. Your device make and model. Make sure you smash that like button. Smash the like button. Let the algorithm know that you're enjoying this. That way we can get more people's eyes on it. People need to see this. This needs to get out. This is important. People in the comments are like, oh, we knew about this. You're a week late. Like, nobody's going to explain this better than me. I'm sorry if you think I'm a week late. I've been preparing the biggest expose of this entire technology that the world has ever seen. And if you know my content, you know that I don't mess around. I show you all the receipts. I show you how this stuff works. And I call it as it is. Balls and strikes. There's no fouls here. So this needs to be seen. So share this video on all of the platforms, wherever you're comfortable sharing it. Share it. Have hard conversations with people. This is important because we can all be infected. The whole country can be infected in 1 week, and we're all in the system, if not already. I know that some people say, well, we're already in the system. Yeah, but do we want this country that has this agenda targeting all of us again? Now more of that. Instead, I'd rather them at least try to go buy it from all these advertisers and they just literally get inside my phone and change the way my AI responds to me. Well, I mean, most people would have the issue, and I would using a browser. I built my own AI system that runs off of the internet. I'd rather have that. You know, if I start sensing this, I haven't had this experience just yet. But anyways, that's for maybe another day. However, so what did I say? I said they track your GPS coordinates, a timestamp of when you entered that location, device unique advertiser identifier, your device make and model. That's important to note. Your operating system version, the carrier, so like Verizon, whatever, T-Mobile, your movement, speed, and direction. So they track all of that. And your phone continuously broadcasts Bluetooth signals, and every other phone in the room is doing the same thing. The Bluetooth pings create a proximity web, so they all kind of are pinging off each other. And your phone is effectively handshaking with every other phone within roughly 30 feet. So not just one phone, it's like every phone at the same time. It's like they're all like handshaking together, and then that expands. And as far out as that proximity will reach, it will reach in that vicinity. All right. If your phone and your spouse's phone are in proximity of a church together, then in proximity at a residential address, then in proximity at school, or at a school rather, the system now knows your likely family unit, your home address, where your children or you might be going to school. Not might be, will be, are, like they will know, right? If you're going Monday, Thursday through Thursday or Friday, the same place together, same time, well, they probably work together or go to school together, or dropping them off. See, it's all time-based, right? So say you're going to drop your kid off at school and they know that you're only there at that location at that school from 6:45 to 6:55, then you're dropping somebody off, right? Or if you're taking longer, then maybe you have, there's various ways to identify what's going on. If you have a handicapped child, then maybe like most people going to that school take 5 minutes, you take 25 minutes or 15 minutes. I don't know how long it would take, but I'm just giving you an example. One thing you need to understand is that nobody asked you about this, that they could do this, right? No one told you, and your phone did all of the work. That has a lot more. We could probably do a whole show on that, on what we sign when we open up our phones and all the agreements that we sign up with. It needs to be talked about. Probably do a show on that soon. Simultaneously, though, your phone is scanning Wi-Fi networks, looking for any access to the internet, and a broadcast probe request advertising every saved network in your phone's memory to any device or anyone that's listening. That's also important. Your phone is all. Have you ever seen that video? I've seen a video where it's like the phone is flashing like every 5 seconds. If you look at it at this particular type of light, I guess it's maybe infrared or some other, I don't know, whatever kind of lighting it was showing. And it was showing lights flashing. You're walking through the mall and it's got all these lights flashing in people's phones. It's in their face. What do you think that is? A signal is broadcasting from your phone. And so every set amount of time, this signal is pinging out into the ecosystem of digitized whatever, web. And from this, a surveillance system can identify every location, your regular visits that you have, all that information that I mentioned before that comes into it. Now, on a typical Sunday, say Sunday morning, maybe there's 500 unique devices, and they're all captured inside a church geofencing. So you go to church, it's geofenced, 500 people show up, they're all geofenced. That is the ground layer. That is ground zero, I guess you would say. By Sunday afternoon, those 500 people have gone to lunch, they've gone shopping, they've went somewhere to meet somebody. Their phones are now in proximity with thousands of other devices. 500 becomes 5,000. By Monday morning, those 500 original churchgoers have gone to work. 5,000 becomes 50,000. By Tuesday, the tertiary contacts are being captured. People who have never been to that church are now in the database because they sat next to someone at a coffee shop who works with someone who hung out with someone for lunch that went to church on Sunday. So by Wednesday, a single church of 500 people has generated a virus, essentially, into the world ecosystem in your area. This is real. This is actually happening right now. I'm telling you, I have court evidence of this. I will bring it out when the time is right. I'm still being told to wait to give the green light. There's some things that need to be done first. But people who have never been to that church are now in this database. All right. And hundreds of thousands of people are being tracked, and it's just going to get worse unless we raise awareness. And I don't know if that can even help, but at least you know, right? At least you can know what's happening. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of tracked devices across one metropolitan or small town area. And the system is doing this simultaneously across 303 churches every single week. It's public filing. It's crazy to think about. In 1983, Rafi Eitan walked into INSLAW's offices pretending to be somebody he was not, obtained access to software designed to track and profile people, and arranged for it to be modified with a hidden surveillance capability and distributed through years later. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs has contracted three. It's like I want to stop and say whatever. Like I'm just gonna say what I need to say. So Boston's Ministry of Foreign Affairs contracted 3 companies through a German intermediary to deploy geofencing surveillance against American churches, seed AI systems with manipulated content, and pay influencers to amplify their specifically crafted narratives. The architecture is identical to today than it was back then. It's just done a little bit differently. First, you obtain or build the surveillance technology. In the 80s, it was Promis. In 2025, commercial geofencing combined with AI content manipulation. Then you have intermediaries to distribute and deploy. In the 80s, Robert Maxwell. Then in 2025, Havas Media Group. Targeting institutions that people trusted. This is the third part. Target institutions that people trust. In the 1980s, intelligence agencies and banks. In 2025, it's churches. It's churches or large nonprofit political campaigning. How about that one? How about Make Heaven Crowded? How about Turning Point USA? How about 277,000 devices tracked at Charlie Kirk's memorial? How about that? Does all of that make sense now? Then you have the harvest data without their target's knowledge. Harvesting data without your knowledge. In the 80s, Promis was a backdoor. In 2025, it's geofencing and AI environment manipulation. And then fifth, you have anyone who exposes the operation faces consequences. You had Riconosciuto was arrested. They set him up. Casolaro was found dead. In 2025, the operation hides in plain sight in FARA filings that fewer than 1% of Americans will ever read, even after hearing all this information. They told us exactly what they were doing. They just bet that nobody would read it. And the filings are there. They're government websites. I didn't make them. the 3 FARA filings, just alone, just those 3. There's 12 companies from FARA alone that I pulled. There's a lot of information there, over 300 documents. The 3 FARA filings represent approximately just $11 million in disclosed contracts, but these are only 3 nodes in a much larger financial network. The broader pipeline flows through 2 different Havas Media arms, Havas Media Germany in the United States, Havas Media USA, Havas Media Germany. And then there's LLDS something or another. I'll have to look at the site again, which has received what multiple investigations have documented as sort of a part of basically $160 million in Boston propaganda and influence budgeted, approved in the late 2024. In addition to Clock Tower X LLC, Show Faith by Works, Bridges Partners, the network includes like Snickerbocker or SKDK. You've got Continental Strategy, Greenberg Trarage, Mayor Brown, Sidley Austin, Israel Allies, Davis Media, and Young Boston. I mean, here, let me open up this site real quick I'll open it up in a second. So I built every piece of this, well, most of it. I built a lot of this into the interactive investigation map at americansfortransparency.org. You can click on any node. You can, for the most part, I think it all works. You can click on any node. I know there's a couple of bugs I need to fix. I do have a document of all the things that I've had somebody that's gone through it and given me something today. So hopefully today I'll be able to fix whatever bugs there are. But for the most part, it's been working great. You can click any node and see the money flow. Here, let me open it up. Okay. I think I'm gonna go like this. So let's go to the home page. And we can see. So I added on more things. Originally, I had just the FARA filings. Right here, FARA. But then I added APAC because I think it's important. We need to know, like APAC, how much money is being lobbied, the Canary mission. These are 2 non-FARA filed organizations. This is not good. APAC pretty much drives the political machinery in the United States. And somehow, because they have like 61% Americans, they're not a foreign agent. That is bullshit. Canary Mission is a foreign surveillance operation that doxes Americans. They use the Department of Homeland Security, their data for, finding and doing all this doxing. So this is hopefully you can see that okay. I'll make it a little bigger if I can. So it all starts here. Here, I'll make it a little bigger. I'll just make it full screen if I can. Does that help? No, it's too big. Hold on. Let me see. 1 second. I think that should be good. Maybe a little bit bigger. I don't know. I thought StreamYard I'm still getting used to, but let me see here. I guess not. So yeah, this is the pipeline essentially. I just wanted to show you that so you could see. This is where the state of Boston Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then these are the 3 groups. Okay, this is where the money. These are the intermediaries. Okay. All right, this is TPUSA here on the side. And then through each group, you've got all of these other, like if I zoom in here, this is Havas Media USA. This is the LDRS Group Limited Tel Aviv. This is Havas Media Germany from Frankfurt Intermediary, but they're all working here. Then you have Bridges. They took $900K. It shows right here. Their principals are who? Boston. 29 filings. They received $900,000. The Esther Project, recruiting Christians, influencers for pro-Boston advocacy per fair filing. I mean, you could click the filing. Here, Bridges, right? I think Bridges works fine. We could look at their registration statement. So they just want to assume that you'll never look. I mean, here. So Bridges Partners LLC, 7652. This is received by the NSD FARA Registration Unit pursuant to the Foreign Agents Registration Act of 1938. U.S. Department of Justice. Bridges Partners LLC. Scroll through here. Look. List of all partners, officers, directors, and persons performing the functions of an officer or director. Yuri Steinberg, Yair Levy. Look at their permanent address. Look at their citizenship. Look at their ownership, 50-50. Yuri Steinberg, Government of Boston through Havas Media Group. Assists with promoting cultural interchange between the U.S. and Boston. Consulting firm providing strategic advice. So they're basically hiring influencers and giving strategic advice on how they can actually. What's a node? A node is just one of these things. A node is just like, it could be different things. This is a node. Like you just click one of these, that's a node, right? These are nodes. Just like a thing, I guess you could say, for lack of a more sophisticated term. So they're literally promoting cultural interchange between the U.S. and that country, and then they consult with strategic advice. The registrant is organized as a membership entity jointly owned and controlled by these two individuals who live, and their citizenship is here. Okay. Government of Boston through Havas Media Group. This is just one. We have 11 more of these. I mean, there's all these different, they have a bunch of filings. I mean, this goes on for pages, but you know, everything so far that I've described is what they don't want you to really know about. They're banking on you never looking into any of this stuff. And this is kind of why I built that, right? Everything described so far is surveillance. This is surveillance. I just want to say hey to the Rumblers if there are any over there, if you're watching. We got 9 of you watching. We're kicking it off on Rumble. So this is surveillance. We're being surveilled in real time. Everybody we talk to, everything we do, everywhere we go, everybody we hang out with, anything. Everything on our phone is data harvested. It is the collection phase. It is what Promis was designed to do in 1982. Gather information about targets. Excuse me. Okay. So the 2025 version adds something that Promis never had. It was a manipulation loop. Let me see. There's something that I was trying to. Here we go. Let me get something for us that. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. I just want to pull them up. Excuse me. But again, this is all surveillance. So by 2025, this level of surveillance is something that Promis never had, which is what I just said, is the manipulation loop, the ability to change how you think. So imagine you're a pastor and you sit down on a Wednesday evening to prepare Sunday's sermon. He opens ChatGPT or Gemini and asks, or Claude. Claude, I heard, is getting really bad. I haven't gotten it yet, but Claude is one that I think is great at coding. I would hate that they would like manipulate code, and so I don't know if they could do that. Maybe they could, but say the pastor sits down to write their sermon. It's a great way to, if you don't know the Bible, you should not be reading the Bible. This is my opinion. I would highly encourage people not to get biblical information from an AI system. Do yourself a favor and pick up the Bible and read it. If you want to translate what the information is, even then, it's like, are you infected, right? You have to think about this as a virus. Are you infected? Have you been to church? Has anyone around you been to church recently? You need to really
you need to be aware of who you're hanging out with. So far, to my knowledge, it's not where the information is going to and from, like texting and chatting back and forth on a call. But I'm sure that they're trying to get that done too. But really, it's pinging physical locations and device. So the pastor will go and look for some theological or statistical information or perspectives in their AI system. But what he does not know is that the information environment has been tainted and systematically shaped, and the AI training data has been seeded with content funded by a foreign government. The pastor reads the results, incorporates them into his sermon, and delivers the message on Sunday morning to a congregation that completely trusts him with no qualms about it. No questions. The geofence captures the congregation's behavioral response to his output. Remember, this is the AI output. If the pastor doesn't change any of it at all, then it's a completely AI clipped narrative that he's conveying to his audience there at church. So the geofence will then capture the congregation's behavioral response. The AI system analyzes and optimizes for the next week. And the way they do that is because they already have access to everybody's phone in that congregation. So they can know, like, literally what your heart rate is beating when you're reading that stuff. If your pupils are dilating when you're hearing the sermon, if your phone you start texting a lot more and you're sending information from church and back and forth with churchgoers, or you go and you hang out longer with some people from church or gather in a larger group or not, or you separate or whatever, they're monitoring all of that. All right. So again, this geofence GEO capability gathers the behavioral response of the congregation, and then it analyzes it. And then the next week, the cycle will tighten. Week 1, you'll have the sermon gospel-centered with some maybe a little political context. And then week 4, the sermon is politically charged with gospel framing. You see how it's flipped? There's an agenda there. By week 12, the congregation is consuming a steady diet of fear-driven content delivered through the most trusted voice in their lives. And the entire cycle is being monitored and optimized by surveillance technology funded by a foreign government targeting a church. Nobody in the congregation chose this. The pastor did not choose this. Sometimes maybe they have if they're taking money. The idea would be to never let anybody know that you're doing it. That is the best way to go about it. The radicalization is so gradual, so embedded in trusted channels that nobody can point to the moment it started. That is the point. The question nobody wants to ask is, why does a foreign government need to know which Americans attend church? Why? Why does a foreign government need to geofence hundreds of why do they need to geofence anybody, first of all, but hundreds of 303 specifically, just from Show of Faith by Works. I'm sure there's plenty others. They've come out and said it flat out. Mega churches across the Western United States. Mega churches. You've seen these big ass churches with all these people inside of them, haven't you? They look like freaking concerts. Concerts of people, thousands of people. Why does a foreign agent need to shape what AI tools tell American pastors and American churchgoers when they research or anything regarding their sermons or biblical information or political information or anything at all? Why do they need to go and target through a church? Why did all these operations launch simultaneously through the same financial intermediary within the same week and a half? Why? The stated purpose is pro-Boston outreach to Christians and combating anti-Semitism. I don't even know where this. I mean, it's like, how much are we going to play into their game, right? So the stated purpose with all of them together is pro-Boston outreach to Christians to combat anti-Semitic culture and nature. If that was all there was to it, it would be a legitimate, maybe aggressive public relations campaign that they could run. But they are doing that too. But geofencing is not public relations. Geofencing is surveillance. Now, maybe if you had a government office or a high-profile security building that needed to have some way to know who's coming in and out, I would imagine something like the White House or Pentagon or some office of, government stature. Maybe that would be a good reason to geofence. But all these churches, tracking every phone that enters a church parking lot is not outreach. That is building a comprehensive behavioral profile of American citizens based on their worship patterns, and is not combating anti-Semitism. In fact, I think it makes it worse. It is the weaponization of faith for political and strategic objectives. So what did Danny Casolaro try to tell us? He called it the octopus because every time he pulled one tentacle and he just like tugged on it like a thread, he was finding that it connected to another and to another and to another. He was right about the connections. He was right about the architecture. He was right with the same networks that, and the same operational methods, the same willingness to compromise American institutions for foreign intelligence objectives appearing over and over again. He was killed over it. And then what Danny Casolaro would recognize immediately if he could see the FARA filings I've been showing you, the same foreign principle, the Boston Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was at the center of the Promis affair in the 80s. It is the named foreign principle on all three 2025 FARA filings. It is the same one. There's only one. It's not like there's all these other countries doing it. Maybe they are, but not at the scale. I don't even think there really are. I think it's just one. It's the same. I mean, it's just like, why? The same operational structure, the same, like these intermediaries to create distance between the intelligence service and the surveillance deployment and the money. The same exploitation of American institutions in the 80s, the Department of Justice, national labs, law enforcement. In 2025, you've got churches, AI systems, and social media. We just get around a lot easier and faster and more efficient. The internet's faster and everybody's connected. We've all got GPS and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi turned on. When I leave, I do my best to keep all that stuff off. It's like sometimes your car radio won't even work right if your GPS isn't on. Don't you think that's strange? I have a brand new Volvo. And when I drive that car, or we have a Lexus, whatever, the Volvo and specifically, the Volvo, if I don't have my GPS on, the Bluetooth speakers don't work. You know that? Isn't that kind of strange? I noticed that the other day. I was like trying to turn my GPS off. I'm all driving. I'm like, I don't want like anybody tracking me. I turned off my Wi-Fi. I was like, well, let me keep my Bluetooth on. It wouldn't work. The GPS was off. It was like, turn your GPS on. It's crazy. So you've got the same bet back from the 80s all the way to today. In the 1980s, they bet that complexity would prevent anyone from seeing the entire picture. In 2025, they bet that the sheer volume of publicly filed documents and the insanity of which this conspiracy idea would never actually penetrate people's minds because they don't want to believe that something so invasive would be real. But it's real. I've shown you, and I will show you more today. They wouldn't think that anybody would read these files. Danny Casolaro lost that bet. His story died with him, or almost did at least. I'm not Danny Casolaro. I'm just a dude with a couple laptops, the ability to code my ass off, like research like nobody else could ever see, and bring information out because that's just what I'm supposed to do, I guess. You know, I was spared. How about that? I was spared. I have a really rough past. I shouldn't be alive, but I'm here still. I'm hard to kill. I'm like a cockroach, man. You have a hard time trying to take me out. And, you know, I have access, just like all of you, to government filing databases. And the thing is, you know, look, I'm just a dude with stubborn belief that American citizens should have right now to know that foreign governments are surveilling them inside their own houses of worship and inside their own homes. The receipts don't lie, man. It's all here. So I built that website for transparency because we are Americans. I'm an American first. Americans for transparency. Because I believe that the tools tools essentially for accountability should not be locked behind paywalls. There's no login, there's no anything. It's just there. You go access it. You don't even need a login. You know, all these FARA documents, they're available for free. You know, I'm not going to charge for that. The interactive money flow map is already live and operational. I mean, you can turn off your services like location and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, especially when you go in your church, and also use a VPN. I highly encourage you to do that. A VPN is a virtual privacy network that will change your network. All right. It'll change where you're being broadcasting from. So you could say you're in Mexico or in China or wherever the hell you want. You could put it wherever you want. Put it in their country. That's what I do. I just say that I'm from there. I do all when I do my VPN, I just say I'm from Israel. So, I mean, it's kind of funny now that I say it out loud. I don't know if I've ever told anyone that. But yeah, I just say I'm from there. That way they just leave me alone, you know? But share this evidence with people, not opinions, not theories, not, you know, just share the website, show the documents. It pulls up on the website of actually the fara.gov. So you can see it. Like if we go to the FARA document here, you can see it's here, right? So it goes to the fara.gov website from here. Let me close this. Originally, I built this site to expose TPUSA, and as I went through so much more of this research, it was just like, wow, man, this TPUSA is such a small piece of all this. I'm going to read some of the super chats, and then we're going to do more of this. We're going to go in here. There's a couple of scripts that I have that I want to show you, like the octopus, octopus thing. I want to start maybe playing some of these scripts during the stream would be kind of cool, like during the debrief. But that is your Dankster's debrief for the most part. Talk to your pastors, show them this article, show them the FARA filings, show them this video live stream, the one from yesterday as well. Talk to them. Contact your local representatives. Ask them about geofencing. Share evidence. Again, this is the best way to do it. Remember, Danny Casolaro. Remember, Bill and Nancy Hamilton. Remember, Michael Rinconocioto. If anything, remember how I couldn't say it. And remember that the surveillance state did not start with an iPhone. It started with a piece of software called Promis. It started really before that even, but built by two Americans. This was built by Americans who believed in a system and then was stolen by the system that they believed in. Weaponized by a foreign government intelligence service and covered up by the very institutions they were supposed to protect us. The technology might have changed, but the targets might have changed as well. The scales have changed, but the playbook, and I've been saying this since I was talking about only just nonprofits and how they move money around to take money off the top. The playbook is still the same. It hasn't changed. You can only come up with a good play a couple times. Obviously, they found a really good play. All right. They found a really good play on how to use nonprofits to scam Americans, to make people think that we're donating money to something great when all we're doing is we're putting people in bigger homes, faster cars, and private planes. Go look at all the people that are running these fancy ass nonprofits, the ones that they say are helping Americans understand things and do the right thing. Well, how come they're all living in $1 million mansions if you're running a nonprofit? How come they're all driving like Corvette Z06s and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Bugattis and whatever the hell, flying in private jets? I've never seen a private jet. Maybe flying in the air with a light like way the hell over there. I wouldn't know it's a private jet. I've flown a Cessna. I've been in a small Cessna. You know, it costs $200 to go on a round trip in my local small school airport. But a private jet with those big ass two things on the side, those engines, turbines or whatever, it costs like $20,000 just to get from here to Vegas, and that's like a 1-hour flight. That's crazy, dude. Nonprofit owners should not be taking private jets. That's ridiculous, man. Like, do donors really think that you need to get to a place so urgently that you must take a private jet? That I've just never understood that, dude. That's crazy. Let me open this up. We're gonna read some super chats, but the way I'm gonna run my show is that super chats aren't gonna be necessarily the end of it. But I think after I do my debrief, I'd like to go into super chats, and then I'd like to also go through after I read through some of them if they don't keep pouring in, or I'll just take a break or whatever, and then we'll go and look at some of these things that I want to show you. I built them. I haven't even looked at them yet, so hopefully they work. So we'll take a look. But yeah, we got some new members. So welcome to Technocratic. If you want to become a member, it's 99 cents. Every Friday, we do members-only live streams. We've had a great live stream on Friday. I built a private AI that's a personalized Dankster AI. So it's built with my personality. So I think we're going to try to finish that on Friday, this Friday. But we kind of just hang out. We get to know each other, get to figure out what's coming up, what's next on the agenda. And if you want to be a part of that, it's literally 99 cents. You get to use the software that I build. I build stuff all the time. If you're a member on YouTube or in Patreon, on our Discord, Patreon paid Discord, you can have access to any website that I build as part of your membership. It's not just be a part of the conversation. It's not just get access to a live stream. It's literally, instead of having a lot, like this website is for the public. Americans for Transparency is for the public. It's for everybody. However, I built an AI system that it has my knowledge base, it has my personality. It's not finished yet, so it's not working yet. It's not working that well yet, but it does work. That is a companion that can help you understand and educate and learn, and it is me, you know. So that's just one fun example. Like, you don't have to want that, but there's lots of other things I'm building. Like, I have a website I'm building called the xalgoexposed.com. I have taken the X algorithm because they made it open source, and I literally built a website that explains how the algorithm works. It has an AI system inside of it. You feed it your post. It'll teach you literally how to rewrite. It'll rewrite the post for you and explain why this is better, because the X algorithm is points based. It's based on replies, quotes, comments, hearts, blocks, reports, if somebody sends it in a message. So all this stuff that I'm building, all my members get it for free. It's 99 cents. So become a member on YouTube, $5 on Patreon if you want to join the private research group, and you get access to anything I'm building. So that was a quick, hard shill. Welcome. It's just Zero, new member. What's up, bro? Good to see you, dude. We got a super chat here for $10. Can we put up a poll for the chat? I have a theology and need data. Where is your stat? Now they're harvesting data from my chat, bro. We can't escape them. Where is your Where is your state issued voting location? 1, church. 2, library. 3, government building. Would it be anywhere else? I mean, for me, it's a government building, but I don't have a problem throwing that up. Let's see. Voter, because this is the thing, and like in California, We can't even put our information on a voting registration. So what are you trying to get? You need to tell me what the data is for. Trying to get data out of me, bro. $10 is not enough, doggy. Can we put up a poll for the chat? I have a theology and need data. Where is your state-issued voting location? 1 church, 2 library. I don't know, man. This worries me. Should I be worried about something? What are you harvesting data for? You got me concerned. I don't know. Maybe we can talk about it. You have my DM. We can talk about it and have a better way to go about it for the next one. Thank you for the super chat. Keats, 31. 5 Danks memberships. Thank you, bro. Say thanks if you did get a membership from Keat, longtime supporter from the beginning. Thank you, bro. And $7.99. A dollar make a holla. 1. Oh, you're enjoying this, huh? You're enjoying this, big dog? Research Faraday bags. Yes, Faraday bags are a technological type of bag. I think that we could look at Faraday bags. You can buy them and put your phone in them. That way that they aren't hacked or like have any of the technology come out of it. So these are definitely things that you could utilize from, say you're going into a place and you don't want to, I don't know how well they work. I've never used them. It says Faraday bags are specialized containers designed to block electromagnetic signals, including cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, by creating an electrically neutral area inside a Faraday cage. They prevent digital tracking, remote hacking, and damage from electromagnetic pulses, EMP. Common types of Faraday bags include phone and key fob pouches, laptop and tablet sleeves, and so on. Yeah, bro. Absolutely. Thank you for the super chats, bro. Just Phil, 1638, 1999 super chat. You rock. I'm behind on the live. Is there a way to know if your phone has been infected? Are there any protections and settings? Why is typing in super chat so difficult? Do you think CK knew that what TPUSA was doing? I have a feeling that TPUSA, there's only one hang up here that I can't specifically pin TPUSA, and it's really frustrating. Why is this super chat? I guess because it's big. I'm like, my face, it's like you're covering my mouth. You don't want to hear. All right, I can sit up. So thank you for the super chat, Phil. So I was planning on building a software. I had a partnership with somebody that I backed out of because there are things that I just didn't want to get involved in with that person. So I decided to back out of that. But that doesn't mean that I'm not still willing to go forward with maybe doing this, building a software that can detect any of this happening. As you can see, though, what I started learning about is, there's a way to do this. And I actually started building something. So the thing is, though, originally I started building it to be able to detect the geofenced locations, which I think would be great. We need an app for that. I can build one. I know what to build for it. And I already started building the scaffolding. But ultimately, what we would need is a way to shut it off, which that would be the idea as well. Not only that, but to be able to find out where and who it's coming from and all that. This is a big project. It's like a military grade style project, which I'm happy to do, but I would need to raise money for it. And I stopped the fundraiser from the last one. So, but maybe we'll do one soon. I have a project launching hopefully this weekend that I'm working with somebody that needs my attention fully. So I'm not going to be working on anything as of late, but I will be hopefully in the near future putting together some things, either a fundraiser or I can fund it myself. But we'll figure something out. Right now, I think that Sean Ryan, I think he sells a phone. If I'm not mistaken, I think he sells a phone for something like this. And do I think Charlie Kirk knew what TPUSA was doing? Well, in what regard? In what regard? I mean, you got to think. he's living he sold a home for like $5 million. You think he doesn't know? How do you think that you make $5 million? You just don't know? I don't think that Charlie Kirk is as innocent as everybody says he was, or thinks, or wants to think. I want to think he's great, of course. But also, you don't end up in a $5 million mansion without knowing what's going on. I'm sorry. That's just not how money works. That's not how nonprofits work. Before he met all of these people and got them into his life, he literally said he didn't take a salary. He was living on beans and rice, basically. I mean, I'm sure he ate decent, but all of these people came into his life. They probably said, "Bro, what are you doing? You got all of this money. You're not, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm investing it." What are you doing, man? You got yourself a nice little dime piece. She wants to go to the Waldorf Astoria in Hawaii, bro. Come on, live a high life. We got a private jet. Just pay for the gas. It happens like systematically. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course I know. I think he knew. Now, to what extent, I don't know. Does he know about all of the Show Faith by Works, and they're on tour with a company that is admitted in FARA filings to literally creating a surveillance state around Americans that show up at their events? Do you think Charlie knew about that? Maybe. I don't know. But that's who Show Faith by Works is. And Eric Kirk grandstanding, going out there and just doing this event with the very principle that is doing that to us, to American churchgoers, to American citizens. Like I said, it's not just church. It's events that are anything related to bringing church and state together. And man, has Turning Point USA been great at that. Church and state. Holy smokes. I've never seen one company do that so well. Thanks for the super chat, bro. Thank you for joining. Welcome. It's just zero. My theory pertains to, oh, what's up, bro? Oh, here he's back. Another 10. We already know what's coming. My theory pertains to if the geofencing could also be used and nefariously in pre-polling and polling and being used against us to sway elections. I think it'd be better if we did a poll on X. That way we can get tens of thousands of people instead of a few hundred on YouTube. Not saying that this isn't valuable, but I have to go and put up a poll and do all this stuff. And if you want to get serious data, you're not going to get information from 300 people. You're going to get it from tens of thousands of people. Everything I post on X lately is going to be getting, I mean, go look at my chip page. I grew 4,000 followers in the last 3 days. Everything I touch on X is just exploding. Look at this here. So I think that we should find a proper way to do it. You're in my Discord. Thank you for the super chat. Look, everything I post, not everything, but most of it. This one, what is this? Are you ready to see exactly? This has 200,000. This has 190,000. Just checked my pinned comment. 6.1 thousand. 22,000. I'm telling you, we should do 5,000 of just like some reposts. 3,000 of a repost. Let's do it right, and let's put something together, and let's get some serious data, something that I can also benefit from as well. And that way we can figure it out. 79,000. So yeah, if you're not following me on X, your boy is hot in the spotlight right now on X. All right, so let's look at a couple of things. Thanks for the super chat. Let's move towards what I was going to show you guys here. Let me see here. I got to open it up on a different way. We're going to open this. They must be slowing your reach. Your info is so good, people would naturally be drawn to your channel. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about slowing. It's just been a lot of information. I've been pouring out a lot. Don't braggadocious. I mean, I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you facts. Don't tell me what to do. How about that? All right. So where are we going? Let me show you what I was going to show you. Yes, this is it. refresh this. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Geofenced, HTML script. I got to find the code. Where is it at? Oh, I haven't. Okay. There it is. All right. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to show you the ones from yesterday and then the ones that I've been working on today before this live stream. Some scripts here, some HTML scripts. So HTML scripts, what they are essentially they're just like visuals that instead of creating like a video, it's creating the ability to see a visual that loops on repeat in real time. So I'm going to show you the ones from yesterday because I kind of played them quickly yesterday. All right. So this is how a church works, essentially. So if you look at it, look how it starts. Okay. I'm just going to keep hitting reset. So this is everybody walking into the church, right? This is the first outer perimeter, the parking, the grounds. All right. And then they go inside the sanctuary, they get infected. Over here, you can see, devices detected 60, outer fence breaches, and it shows how many times they enter, right? Coming in and out. For what purpose? Let me get some more water. What's up, Reggie? Reginator. Sean Ryan, a very well-funded FedSlop outlet. Feel free to look into it. I've looked into it. Just because they have good, they have maybe some FedSlop doesn't mean the content's not good. We got a super chat. Christy Hughes, I'm caught up. How's the crew? Hello in the mods. What's up, Christy? Thanks for the super. All right, we're gonna go and to look at some more of these. So this is the pulpit, right? So imagine this is the pulpit. Let me zoom in and then refresh. So then you've got your cell phone ID numbers through the Bluetooth are pinging. This is their hello. When I was saying hello, and then you can see that they're tracking the active Bluetooth handshakes. So it's never really the same one twice unless they're trying to re-monitor and re-gauge. You have the connections that are mapped, social pairs identified. So then these pairs will be identified through whatever type of, it's like, oh, wow, these people came here, here, and there. What's up? What? You want to go potty or something? Yeah? Uh-oh, my dog wants to go potty. Hold on. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. All right, we're back. All right. Oh, what happened? All right, so that's the Bluetooth web, right? That's how they say hello to everybody. So it says, while you sit in the pew, your phone constantly pings every other phone via Bluetooth. They capture every handshake, who sits near you, or who sits near who talks to who's in the same family, and they're mapping the entire social network from these Bluetooth pings. So then when you go back into church the next week, this ping happens again, right? And then you've got the phone hop. And so let me zoom in and then refresh if I can. You don't have to go to church. You just have to go to a grocery store where someone from that church also shops. Nobody is safe. Wednesday is citywide. So Sunday it starts. Sunday it starts here. Everybody goes to church. Bluetooth connection on church. Who's talking to who? The Bluetooth ID. And then the phone hop. So Sunday at 10 a.m., there's 500 churchgoers. In the afternoon, it spreads to 10x that. By Monday morning, less than 24 hours later, you've got all of these people in their workplaces. Tuesday, it cascades, and then it's citywide, and it just keeps going and going and going. All right. And it says right here, like if you look at here, total tracked devices, it keeps climbing exponentially. Original churchgoers is just 500. So it's a virus, right? And it doesn't stop. Locations compromised. Look at how that just, this is real time type of stuff right here. Let me turn that banner off so I'm not. All right. So then what do we got next? Oh, yeah. This is the Wi-Fi fingerprint. So this is the Wi-Fi fingerprint. So it shows, go to your church, then you go to your neighbor, then you go to your kid's school, you go to the office, go to your coffee shop, your grocery store, go to the gym, go home, go to church. It's just this infinite loop. And you can see device ID number, first seen at this time. This is kind of like my best way of explaining how this data stuff works, right? The locations mapped, Wi-Fi networks found, daily pattern, fully mapped. It's like, yep, we got them mapped. This is their routine. Co-located devices, 18. And then it'll log in their Wi-Fi probe log. Okay. How I would imagine it would be something like this. So the timestamp would come up and it would say they're guests at Cavalry Chapel. They went to Oakview Elementary. They went to this public library. They linked on to the Publix grocery Wi-Fi. And then their AI inference system would be able to detect, like it says here, detected 5G, detected nightly, residential address identified. It shows their work. It shows their family. Has school-age children. Routine. Every morning, habitual coffee stop. Speaking of coffee. I have an Nespresso machine. I love my Nespresso machine. I don't spend $7 on a coffee. That's crazy. And I put, damn, that's good. And I put a tablespoon of cacao powder, this high quality cacao powder, and it helps with your blood flow and your heart. Damn, that's so good. And French vanilla. I love French vanilla. I think we got a super chat. So you can let that sink in while we read the super chat. Great work, Danks. Great points too. Faraday bags, phones off and on. RFDI wallets, VPN addresses. Yeah, we have chips in our wallets, right? These chips can also be pulled. RFDI wallets. You're a natural at this. Must be an incredible amount of careful research. Yeah, tell me, it's crazy amount of information. Fact checking. Top work, mate. Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Thanks for the super. It's a lot of work, man. But I'm willing to stop at nothing to put this information out. Gonna have to kill me first, and I'm not suicidal. What's next? It's my phone and is this gonna, uh-oh. My browser stopped working. Why? Cancel. Oh, that's why. Okay. Next is the AI social graph. So this is building a complete map of your entire life from surveillance data. So it literally, I mean, it's, you just have to see it. I'm going to try to put these on the website so you guys can all see these. I think that'd be great. If you want me to put them on the website, would you use them? Put a one in the chat if you would use them. If you'd go and you'd check this out and you'd want me to update it regularly, I would do it if you guys want me to. Put a one in the chat. I want to know. It's so funny. They say that about my dad. I don't think my dad looks a lot like, he looks like him, George Clooney, and he looks like Robert Downey Jr. That's what they say my dad looks like. It's so funny. I guess that's a good thing. Yeah, you guys would look at them, you'd use them. I could build a whole bunch of them. You could use it if I could find the website. I mean, I had the banner rolling on here for quite some time, bro. AmericansForTransparency.org. Maybe you've been infected. So yeah, I mean, the neighbor. Okay, you guys have probably seen these. This is the money flow. So this is the foreign government. It goes through 3 entities, and then it just ends up at a church, essentially. And then this is the feedback loop. So it starts at the church, the data is trained, the pastor uses the AI feeds the pastor propaganda, the pastor preaches, congregation then engages, AI learns and escalates. And then what they capture. The moment your phone crosses the geofence, they extract everything they can. GPS coordinates, exact latitude, longitude, movement, speed, and direction, timestamp every 30 seconds, altitude, floor level, unique device ID, your advertising ID, device make and model, your operating system version. It all comes from this data. Your behavioral pattern, time arrived, departed, or areas visited, social mapping, who you sat with, who you talked to after, parking lot conversations, family group detection. They're mapping everything. Yeah, check the website out. I'll put it, if you guys, I see a lot of ones in the chat, so I will implement it because I got to make a couple of fixes to the site. Let me bring up the new ones that I built. I'm excited to see them because I've been working on them all morning. Let me pull these up. Let me close these other ones. Close that. Close that. Where are the rumblers at? What's up, KBMI or KBM31? Thanks. If phone is powered off, are we safe? From Run Our Doc MD. I believe so. I can't say certainly, but from the research I've been doing is yes. That's the research. Against my better judgment, keep up the good work. We all need to be aware of this. Absolutely. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. We all must be aware of this. We have to. This is essential info. Yes, this is essential. Yes. Oh, what's up, Keats? Oh, that's right. Yes, if it's off, it should be. From my research, yes, that's the case. All right, let's open these new scripts here that I've got. I'm excited. Let's take a look here. I think these are them. Yeah. Drop. Okay. Let's see. The AI that I ran these scripts through afterwards said it works, so this should be fine. Start simulation. So 72-hour device explosion, one church, one Sunday, 500,000 tracked. So we're starting with 0 devices tracked, Sunday at 10 a.m. And then we're awaiting the simulation. So down here, you have church attendees, 0 generations, Gen 0, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4 plus. So it's really the church attendees, the lunch and the errands, home contacts, work, school, tertiary speed. So this is church attendees, 500 devices tracked by Sunday at 2 p.m. So this is showing like the full outbreak. And then by Monday afternoon, 8 a.m., Monday morning. And then you've got Monday afternoon, almost to 5 o'clock. And then Monday, 5 o'clock, the 250,000 devices. Tuesday morning, it spreads. Look at this. And then by Wednesday afternoon, you have over 500,000 devices tracked. Look at that. That's literally how it works. Look at this. You want to see it again? How crazy is that? This is exactly how it works. I promise. This is how it works. Look at the timeline. This is real. This is real shit. This is really happening. And they have a whole city, small city mapped. Think about that. The best thing you could do to keep this from happening is have a flip phone with no GPS and stuff like that. All right, let's look at the next one. So this is the AI manipulation. The way I built it is crossed over. So let's go a step through. Autoplay. All right. How foreign funded AIs turn your pastor into unwitting propaganda delivery systems. So they geofence the church, capture all device IDs. The AI builds profiles, demographics, and psychology. Seed AI outputs. So that seeds the AI with the propaganda. ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, and it's shaped by millions of dollars of contracts. And this specific one, Clock Tower LLC, $9 million. And then the sermon prep, the AI tools, all that. And then by week 8, so then if we do the full walkthrough. So week 1, sermons are 90% gospel, 10% political context. Then by week 4, you've got 80% gospel, 20% culture war. And then you've got, it's going too fast for us. I need to slow it down, I guess. Tilting towards persecution narratives. Nobody notices by week 4. Week 8, pastor research consistently returns fear-based content. Week 12, congregation social media engagement has shifted measurably. Week 20, church is unrecognizable from 5 months ago. Week 30 plus, full narrative alignment, radicalization has been achieved. It's all through machine learning and AI. So they can just push whatever narrative they want. Let's look at this one. Yeah, this is the playbook one, right? Yeah. Same playbook, different century. Yeah, cool. The architecture of foreign surveillance operations against Americans has not changed in 4 decades. 1983, Promis INSLAW affair. 2025, church geofencing on the right. So you have the foreign principal, Israeli intelligence LAKAM. Rafi Eitan, head of the Bureau of Scientific Relations, orchestrates the acquisition of weaponization of Promis software, same unit that ran Jonathan Pollard. If you don't know, I'll show you. Maybe we'll try to find a short clip of Jonathan Pollard. I think I have one here. I don't want to play anything from like a Netflix thing. There would be here. Let me see if I can find one real quick. If you guys want to read that while I look for this, I want to try to find something for you guys. We can watch a quick clip on let me see if it's on this dude right here. Let me see. Show your phone right now. Visualization. Is that it? This is what Snowden described. I think that's the one. This is what Snowden described. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's JRE clips. Let me see. Like this one says, you think your phone is off, but it's not. Your phone's spying on you. This is 8 minutes. How your cell phone spies on you.
Shut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the Joe Rogan one. This was a good one. I remember this was a while ago. Let's see this.
Shutting your phone off doesn't even work, right?
You guys hear that?
Well, so it does in a way.
You guys can hear that, right? Just let me know. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear that.
It's yes and no. The thing with shutting your phone off that is a risk is, how do you know your phone's actually turned off? It used to be when I was in Geneva, for example, working for the CIA. We would all carry like drug dealer phones. The old smartphones, old dumb phones. They're not smartphones. And the reason why was just because they had removable backs where you could take the battery out, right? And the one beautiful thing about technology is if there's no electricity in it, right? If there's no go juice available to it, if there's no battery connected to it,
it's a very
good
point.
Sending anything, because you have to get power from somewhere. You have to have.
That is such a great point. How do you know your phone is off? You don't. They could leave it on, right? What was the answer? Yeah, I mean,
have power in order to do work. But now your phones are all sealed, right? You can't take the batteries out. So there are potential ways.
Yeah, this is in real time. Yeah, this video that I'm doing right now, this is real. Yeah, we're real time here, baby. And this is all happening in real time. Like, this is not in the future. This is not what could be. This is not conspiracy theory. This is not a theory. This is reality. And this was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this interview was. And they started doing this in the 80s.
is that you can hack a phone where it appears to be off, but it's not actually off. It's just pretending to be off, whereas in fact, it's still listening in and doing all this stuff. But for the average person, that doesn't apply, right? And I got to tell you guys, they've been chasing me all over the place. I don't worry about that stuff, right? And it's because if they're applying that level of effort to me, they'll probably get the same information through other routes. I am as careful as I can, and I use things like Faraday cages. I turn devices off. But if they're actually manipulating the way devices display, it's just too great a level of effort, even for someone like me, to keep that up on a constant basis. Also,
It's true.
if they get me, I only trust phones so much. So there's only so much they can derive from the compromise. And this is how operational security works.
If you ever heard of the word OPSEC, 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 operational security, that's kind of where he's leading. It looks
Think
like.
about what are the realistic threats that you're facing that you're trying to mitigate. And the mitigation that you're trying to do is what would be the loss, what would be the damage done to you if this stuff was exploited. Much more realistic than worrying about these things that I call voodoo hacks, right? Which are like next level stuff. And actually, just a shout out for those of your readers who are interested in this stuff. I wrote a paper on this specific problem. How do you know when a phone is actually off? How do you know when it's actually not spying on you? With a brilliant, brilliant guy named Andrew Bunny Huang. He's an MIT PhD in, I think, electrical engineering. Called the Introspection Engine that was published in the Journal of Open Engineering. You can find it online, and it'll go as deep down in the weeds, I promise you, as you want. We take an iPhone 6, this was back when it was fairly new, and we modified it so we could actually not trust the device to report its own state, but physically monitor its state to see if it was spying on you. But for average people, right, this is academic. That's not your primary threat. Your primary threats are these bulk collection programs. Your primary threat is the fact that your phone is constantly squawking to these cell phone towers. It's doing all of these things because we leave our phones in a state that is constantly on. You're constantly connected, right? Airplane mode doesn't even turn off Wi-Fi really anymore. It just turns off the cellular modem.
The reason why they made it that way is because so many people, because they harvest your data, when you turn on airplane mode, you still want to use the Wi-Fi. So they just ended up configuring it to where your Wi-Fi stays on. You could probably try it right now if you turned your phone on Wi-Fi. If you turn your phone on airplane mode, it probably would just leave the Wi-Fi on.
But the whole idea is we need to identify the problem. And the central problem with smartphone use today is you have no idea what the hell it's doing at any given time. Like the phone has the screen off. You don't know what it's connected to. You don't know how frequently it's doing it. Apple and iOS, unfortunately, makes it impossible to see what kind of network connections are constantly made on the device and to intermediate them. Going, I don't want.
If you can, there are services like your internet service provider, your ISP, like Frontier or whatever. What are the other ones? Verizon has one. Comcast, whatever. They offers network protection, network security, network tracking. So I can see what all of my devices are up to. And I also I've built like certain security measures to at least see what's coming in and out of my phone, how many ads I've received. Like if I were to look at the software I have on my phone, it tells me how many through my router and through my phone's internet system. It tells you how many, like I could show you probably here, activity, right? So then you could see like this week, make sure there's nothing here. You could see, let me show you on this right here. It'll show you, you should probably get something like this. You could probably download it for free, but it shows you how many gigabytes of data was downloaded, uploaded, scans, threats blocked. And then if you wanted to look at threats before on the timeline, you could probably, let's see if I can get this zoomed in just right. It's kind of, there's nothing right now, but I did have the week before, I had a bunch of, what day, Saturday, Friday, a bunch of threats on my account, on my Wi-Fi, my router. So You want to definitely have like something that you can at least gauge what's going on, especially if you have cameras and stuff. Those are valuable to have.
I want Facebook to be able to talk right now. I don't want Google to be able to talk right now. I just want my secure messenger app to be able to talk. I just want my weather app to be able to talk. But I just checked my weather, and now I'm done with it, so I don't want that to be able to talk anymore. And we need to be able to make these intelligent decisions on not just an app-by-app basis, but a connection-by-connection basis, right? You want, let's say you use Facebook, because, for whatever judgment we have, a lot of people might do it.
I don't use Facebook. I have an account. I have had one for quite some time, but they're so great at that they created Messenger and then the sales app and marketplace, and they find a way to get into your life. And so these apps, they're used for more than just connecting people. They're used to track people. They're used to find out what you're up to, what you're buying, selling, who you're talking to. This is information that we need to be thinking about when we're using these devices.
You want it to be able to connect to Facebook's content servers. You want to be able to message a friend. You want to be able to download a photograph or whatever, but you don't want it to be able to talk to an ad server. You don't want it to talk to an analytics server that's monitoring your behavior, right? You don't want it to talk to all these third-party things, because Facebook crams their garbage into almost every app that you download, and you don't even know it's happening because you can't see it, right? And this is the problem with the data collection use today, is there is an industry that is built on keeping this invisible. And what we need to do is we need to make the activities of our devices, whether it's a phone, whether it's a computer, whatever, more visible and understandable to the average person, and then give them control over it. So like if you could see your phone right now, and at the very center of it is a little green icon that's your, handset, or it's a picture of your face, whatever. And then you see all these little spokes coming off of it. That's every app that your phone is talking to right now, or every app that is active on your phone right now, and all of the hosts that it's connecting to. And you can see right now, once every 3 seconds, your phone is checking into Facebook, and you could just poke that app, and then boom, it's not talking to Facebook anymore. Facebook's not allowed. Facebook's speaking privileges.
See, that's something that I
revoked,
want to
right?
build.
You would do that. We would all do that. If there was a button on your phone.
I've been wanting to build something like this. This is like needed.
That said, do what I want, but not spy on me. You would press that button, right? That button does not exist right now. And both Google and Apple, unfortunately, Apple's a lot better at this than Google. But
the thing is, if I were to do something like that, it puts a target right on my back, right on my forehead. I can talk about all this stuff all day long, but if I make something like that, they'll kill me first. They will. They'll try to. I guarantee you.
Neither of them.
That's another reason why I'm kind of like, I got other things to do. I got a family. I got a life to live. I don't want to be a martyr for something that maybe never will come out, But it's it might be something worth building for myself. I mean, I would like to have it. I don't know. It depends on where this atmosphere goes, right? But I can tell you that I can build something like this.
Allow that button to exist. In fact, they actively interfere with it because they say it's a security risk. And from a particular perspective, they actually aren't wrong there. But it's not enough to go, we have to lock that capability off from people because we don't trust they would make the right decisions. We think it's too complicated for people to do this. We think there's too many connections being made. Well, that is actually a confession of the problem right there. If you think people can't understand it, if you think there are too many communications happening, if you think there's too much complexity in there, it needs to be simplified. Just like the president can't control everything like that. If you have to be the president of the phone and the phone is as complex as the United States government, we have a problem, guys. This should be a much more simple process. It should be obvious. And the fact that it's not, and the fact that we read story after story, year after year, saying all your data has been breached here, this company's spying on you here, this company's manipulating your purchases or your search results, or they're hiding these things from your timeline, or they're influencing you or manipulating you in all of these different ways. That happens as a result of a single problem. And that problem is in inequality of available information. They can see everything about you. They can see everything about what your device is doing, and they can do whatever they want with your device. You, on the other hand, owned the device. Well, rather, you paid for the device. But increasingly, these corporations own it. Increasingly, these governments own it. And increasingly, we are living in a world where we do all the work, right? We pay all the taxes. We pay all the costs. But we own less and less. And nobody understands this better than the youngest generation.
There you go. That's a really great way of explaining it. There's another video I do want to show. This is timeline. I wanted to start basically like building my live streams and then building like scripts around them and then putting them up on the website so people could experience them and go back and refer and see. So I would like to eventually maybe do something like this and put them on the site. I already have them built. It wouldn't be hard to put them on the site. The only reason why I haven't put them on the site is because originally I put my name and my information, at least my social account, my handle. And if I continue, which I will, I'll be continuing to make the site more robust. And then I just start putting my links to my videos, and it's just me, because I'm not going to put other people's content on my website. Then I'm like, hey, I'm the guy, like I'm the dude. Yeah, I mean, maybe somebody comes across the site through SEO, in Germany or in Boston. They don't know it's me, right? But if I start putting all of my links and all the stuff I make, then I'm just putting another target. I have to be careful how all of this works for me and my safety. Geofence analytics, subject profile reconstruction. This is kind of what I would imagine it looks like from the research I've done. So if I can zoom in here, you can at least see subject profile. So their profile is built around your phone, and the device ID tells you the device type, your carrier, the operating system, its first capture timestamp, and the entry of the geofence and the location. So it says like Calvary Chapel. I know for a fact that Calvary Chapel is a whistleblower that I have. Whistleblower or awareness bringer, whatever, this person. This is how I have all this information, because I got it from court documents. Because their church is in court. Their church is in court over something that happened during COVID. But inside that's why people are like, you might wonder why somebody like Candace isn't being sued, for example, for all the stuff that she said. It's because this stuff comes out. Like, imagine going to court over something during COVID, but then everything becomes available in discovery. And that's how I found out about this, is because they went to court over being shut down in COVID, but then all of this geofencing stuff came out. That's how we know about this. That's why I can say 100% undoubtedly it's happening, because I've seen the paperwork from the Department of Litigation or whatever, from the litigation paperwork. But then it's got the inferred identity, male, 94% likeliness, age range, 38 to 45, 80% confidence, married, 96% confident, children, 2, ages 8 to 14, 80% confident, income bracket, home zip, employer type, psychographic tags, evangelical, weekly attendee, suburban, family-oriented, conservative, high engagement, small group leader, persuadable. This is massive. Persuadable, donor, regular, high value target, regular attendee with community influence, small group leader. Can I not bring this down? Small group leader role amplifies narrative reach by estimated 12 to 15x. So they have this proximity, like you could see, device is their spouse, 99% co-location. So they share location. They have a child with the device, co-location. Child 2, co-location. Church, pew neighbor, 3 feet away when they're pinged at the church. All of this stuff is then tracked. And then they give it, so they capture the Wi-Fi networks and the locations, right? You can see that here. Captured Wi-Fi network, probe requests. And then they get AI content recommendations.
feed category, religious persecution narratives. They engage. So like, say you're, looking on your X feed, and then they could see, it's called dwell time. So you're like looking at this post and you're watching this like 30-second clip, and it's just shocking to you, right? And so they can measure your dwell time based off of religious persecution, and they're like, oh, this person like engages with this. Let's feed them more of that. Emotional trigger might be something like family protection, threat to children, faith under attack is a narrative frame that they can be delivering, optimal delivery. So these are all things that, the manipulation vector might display, and they're getting it through the sermon AI, 92%, social feed, 85%, search results, 78%, their peer-to-peer network, influencers. And then it says the feedback loop is active. Subjects, behavioral data feeding back to optimized content pipeline, estimated full narrative alignment, 8 to 12 weeks at current engagement rate. So you could be fully radicalized within 12 weeks if they continue to feed this loop. What's up, homie? The ambitious hustle. I like your profile picture, looking gangsta. Thanks. Thank you for the super chat. Ambitious Hustle 13. Thanks. I have to get with you before the Women's Summit with Erica and the Cult here in San Antonio, June 5th to the 7th. 30 minutes to Braunfels Cornerstone Church. All 3 main brain military base JBSA. A lot of poo going on down here. I have to get with you before. So you can get with me directly if you just join the Patreon. It's $5. You go to patreon.com/original Dankster. I'll put the link in the chat and I'll pin it. You can join, and then it'll give you access to my Discord. You can message me there as well on Patreon if you have an issue getting in. But then you can join, and then I do one-on-one video chats, voice chats, all that type of stuff inside the Discord. So we can talk. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm more than happy to. That's my inner circle. We do a lot of, research, or we just talk about some of the stuff. Like the Discord itself is focused on my material and where we're headed, and then also other stuff happening in the neighborhood of the conversation of Turning Point USA, and now branching into technology and surveillance and how they're using companies like TPUSA to get to us. So if you want to engage with me and discuss that stuff, please. I'd love to have you. I'll remember your name, Ambitious Hustle. If you don't have a Discord, just create one. It's really easy. And for now, we'll be using Discord. I have a site coming out that is going to be a different version of Patreon, where it just connects to Discord, and creators can monetize their community just like Patreon, but will take a lot less money. Patreon takes like 20%. We'll be taking less, or we'll be doing all the work for you. So building the Discord, building the email list. We have an analytics engine that I built that crosses the YouTube analytics with your X feed analytics and all your followers there, and your Discord and Patreon, and it connects everything. So I'm building this site. It's hopefully launching soon, very, very soon. And it'll be invite only, but I'll launch my project there. And then the influencers that I have that are going to be coming on board will be going, instead of to Patreon, we'll be migrating them over to our website. And then I'll eventually go there as well, once I know that they're all happy and stuff. But the thing is, I might build my own Discord as well, like my own version of Discord. It'll be called something else. Because what I read the other day is that Palantir is getting their dirty paw prints inside of Discord, looking to require facial recognition or a thumbprint. And that's just not cool. So anybody that wants to engage in my community, if Discord starts doing that, I need to know, because I will create my own version of Discord. The only problem is when it comes to payment processing, I don't have my own bank. So I would need something like Stripe. Stripe is very picky about allowing social media, because they don't want radicalization happening from our end. It's okay if everybody else in the world does it to us, but they don't want us building, like when I built this website that I have launching soon, like I went through it was like a 5-week review process, and it was just me connecting influencers into a monetized way to connect to their Discord group. But because there was a chance they thought that I was having people post content they didn't want to, they flagged my website. So that's why it's been so long to get it out. So building a Discord would be, I could definitely do. I would love to do it, my own version of it, where it's uncensored, where there's no data collection, stuff like that. There's obviously always going to be some version of data collection, like emails, phone numbers, and stuff that you put in, like 2FA. You have to have your email or something. But I would really like to build something that is just, every time something comes along, I want to build something that counters it. Like Patreon, like I built something that takes way less percentage, or for the percentage that you're paying, you get a lot more. You get a website, so there's a lot of really cool stuff that I'm doing. So again, if you're a member on YouTube for 99 cents, you get the members only Friday live streams, and then you get access to any of the websites I build. Even if they're paid sites, you get access. So if you're a Discord or Patreon, thank you for the super chat. Sorry, that was long-winded, I know. But yeah, love to hear from you. Let's go back to this. I didn't want to cross over to when Baron is going live. I want to make sure that that doesn't happen, because I know that he was going live today. Let me see when he's going, if not soon. I'm out moving around. Okay, so Mr. Let Go, there's a video I want to show you guys. Let's watch that right now. And then I'll end this stream soon, I think. Let me check when Baron's going live. I know there's a lot of cross people watch you guys. Oh, he's got a members only live. It starts in 15 minutes. I'm getting gassed, guys. I'm probably going to end up cleaning up here soon. Is there anything? What about these scripts? Yeah, I showed you that. Oh, yeah. This is how your phone works. This is crazy, bro. Your device broadcasting to everyone within range. New membership. Yeah. Join the membership. Seriously, it's $1. And then if you're on iPhone, they charge you, if you're using Apple Store, they charge you 30% more on every app store purchase that you make. So like they just charge 30% more. I don't know where the money goes, just into Apple's pocket. But so it might be $1.50 for you. There's different tiers if you want to support more. I think there's like $2, $4, $8. $20 and $100. So if you feel like you want to donate more, you can, but it's just $1. None of the tiers will make much big of a difference. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of, I'm trying to build as many ways of showing you how this stuff works. 40 signals sent, 12 devices found, networks exposed, 14. It just keeps increasing. Look, it says right here, if you like see this, it starts up here. The handshake at the church, and then it goes down to the probe at the Wi-Fi at your work, and then your neighbor's, network, the GPS coordinate location, 7 devices mapped, and it just keeps growing exponentially. And it is literally like a virus, man. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Let's watch this.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nick Lefebvre.
And I'm Juliette Dragas.
This is apparently warrants about geofencing, and this stuff is important. Because if this is possible for us, then we need to be applying
Your
warrants.
cell phone's location data could help law enforcement solve crimes with something called geofence warrants.
It's another useful tool in law enforcement's investigative box. But 13 on your side's Carla Byron dug into why this cutting-edge method is so controversial.
If you have a phone with Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, or Google, your phone is constantly looking to save your location and share it with the company. A law enforcement agency may be interested in that data if they think it'll be helpful in solving a crime. So they can ask a judge to execute what's called a geofence warrant.
It's a search warrant, not for a particular person, but to a Google or an Apple saying, this is a geographic region, say a city block, and a date and time. And we would like to know if you have any users that were in that location on that date and time. And if so, provide their information.
Let's give a hypothetical situation, say a string of strong-armed robberies. Police know it's the same suspect and method, but they don't know who that person is.
You could do a geofence warrant to say, okay, if we know we had a robbery at this location on this date, and this location at this date, and this other location at this date, let's do a search warrant for those 3 locations at those 3 dates and times and see if there's any person that is in those 3 boxes on, on all 3 lists.
They're controversial because people's records can be accessed who had nothing to do with a crime, which is why Helmer says investigators should write the warrants as narrowly as possible and only use them when necessary.
So if police are having a tough time getting this type of information out through geofencing and data, extracting this data, then why is it legal for a church to just be geofenced by a third party from a foreign country? If the government can't do this legally and there's warrants going out about it, and there's like litigation and issues in the local state or city, fighting against it, why would we accept that a church is being allowed to track every single person in our city? It shouldn't be allowed, and we need to push back. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I will eventually. And I will figure out a way for all of us to push back. This is not cool, man. It's not cool.
But also need to be backed up by other evidence.
You can't have the biggest fishing net and say, I want the whole city of Grand Rapids for this week. Number one, you're going to overwhelm your investigators. But number two, those people have a reasonable expectation of privacy, and you have no reason to request that wide of a scope.
As technology progresses, the more law enforcement can know about you.
We give up so much privacy by downloading these apps and having these free Facebooks and Snapchats and Twitters.
Everybody here is like 40 years old, but sounds like they're 16. Seriously, you're right. We got a lot of older folks in here. But that's good, though. You know what I think? I applaud that because they're always the ones that people underestimate. Oh, they're old or they're not. And that's not old. I'm almost 40. I might have a baby face. I've been told I got a baby face. But I'm almost 40. Yeah, I think even like I have members in my Patreon and Discord that are in their 70s. They're in their 70s. And they're learning about this stuff. And I think that's critical because we have a hard time explaining to our elders, our loved elders, about some of this stuff. And a lot of them are hard-headed. And you know how it is. It's nothing against but they grew up and they're all, it's like, you can't teach old dog new tricks. But you surely can if you're open to it. And I think that's the most important, is having these members here, having these people watch the content, having them engage and learn and then teach others, because they're the wisdom holders. They're the ones that have the information from all of these decades, and they've seen all the stuff I've explained. They already know about Promis, and they know about JFK, or they know about they've seen it all happen. So when they see the Charlie Kirk situation, that's why this Charlie Kirk thing has brought out so many other people, because they know, that this is very easily an op, very easily, as to where someone like me, I kind of grew up in the 9/11 phase and all that. So, but I haven't seen, I was around when the first computer I ever had was an MS-DOS computer. And it was just made for coding and and I really didn't mess with coding much until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And I got really frustrated. But when AI came out, I had ChatGPT at the time teach me how to use, how to code, rather. And back then, it wasn't able to, vibe coding wasn't a thing 3 years ago. So I had it build a plant, like a school. Instead of me paying for a school, I just had ChatGPT teach me how to code, and then I would do everything. I built a calculator first, then I built a trivia game, and then one thing after another, and eventually you learn how to code. And then I had it teach me different things. I mean, it's never too late to start. And I think it's incredible that we have boomers here and Gen Zs, or whatever it is, Gen X, I don't know the generations, but that's super important that we have elders, because we need those elders to be around and all that. So look, I appreciate you guys being here. We've done a solid 2 hours and 22 minutes. And I might do another live stream tomorrow. And then I got to figure out the next video and where I'm going to head. So, I will be I think yesterday was a really great representation of how I wanted to convey the message. And I want to dive deeper into a lot of this stuff. So if you're here for the live streams, make sure that you are subscribed and you get your notifications and you're here live so we can engage. And I will go in any direction except for data harvesting my users on the live stream. This is my coveted, you guys are my people right here. If you're showing up to live streams, you're sticking out the whole way through. This is important to me, especially because you make all this work for me. You make me want to show up day in and day out. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the comments and the chats and the feedback. I'm kind of a lone ranger. I do my own thing. I started getting involved with someone else. I pulled back. I just enjoyed doing my own thing. And I think that you guys like to see that as well. So I will continue that. Every once in a while, I might go on someone else's show or have someone else on. But for the most part, I think it's important that you get the information from me, because I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm going to give you the facts. And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to build code to give you evidence of how this stuff works so you can fully digest it. Because me talking versus me talking with paperwork showing that it's happening with coded out HTML script that shows you how it works is like the best way I can personally figure out a way to convey my message. So I really hope that this stuff here in this live stream today, my video from yesterday, if you haven't seen it yet, it's my last uploaded video. Please go back and watch it, share it with people, and have those hard conversations. All right. Because if you don't come with receipts, they won't believe you. But if you come with receipts, how can they not? That's how I see it. How can they not? So thank you for being here for today's Dankster Intel debrief. I love you all. I see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I think I'll do a live stream tomorrow. I got to figure out, I got to continue. I'm working on this script for tomorrow, but I haven't figured out where I want to take it yet. But yeah, you guys like the Dankster debriefs and the history of tying all this stuff together, it seems like. So I'll probably continue doing that. And yeah, we'll keep it moving. As long as you guys are learning, that's what I'm here for. So I appreciate it. I guess that'll be it. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Did I miss anybody? We got new members. Welcome. Yeah, don't forget to join the membership. We have a good time. And I do live coding. Well, I do vibe coding actually on Fridays because it's faster. And yeah, I'm building out the Dankster AI. So if you want to have a Dankster companion that thinks like me, it's already operational, but I'll be making it better this Friday. So if you want to partake in that, join us. That's the best way to show your support, is by showing up, hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and becoming a member. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel, and I'll see you later.